I have to be careful with that I don't speak in this here. Talking about the digital transformations, like the clicker is getting bigger and bigger. It's funny. Let me switch this way. This is one of my favorite photos, a butterfly, but it's more than a butterfly. You see the data in the background, and it's there is a link between technology and nature. And even though it looks or appears to be perfect, maybe it's not really that perfect after all. And some of you may like butterflies, but when you like butterflies, you also have to understand, or you have to remember, in order to become a butterfly, you have to go through struggle. And this is like the digital transformation. And we're talking about the metamorphosis, or plural metamorphoses. And I'd like to give you some insights or impressions of the digital transformation I have been experiencing at Allianz since I joined this corporation last summer. Actually, it started in the spring. I received a phone call, and a headhunter asked me, he's like, well, Mr. Juli, I know you're an expert in agile transformation, and would you be interested in joining Allianz? And I thought, agile? He has a point. I have been in agile for almost 20 years. Allianz. And I thought, okay, there are two things, or there's one thing in common. Allianz and agile both start with an A. Okay, and that's pretty much it. And I thought I was very skeptical. During this time, in the spring of 2020, I just finished writing my new book, Human Business. And I thought actually I wanted to work in this area, humanizing business. That was my motivation, that was my driver. And it's like, for me, technology is much more. We talked about the butterfly, but technology is a tool. I was really interested in turning a company into a human business using digital. So how could this work at Allianz? And I was curious. And after 7 conversations, after 7 meetings, I actually signed the contract. And see, the things like with the digital transformation, it's not a change. When we talk about a digital transformation, it is a metamorphosis. And the thing is, like, when you talk about a metamorphosis, it's like you're the caterpillar, and then you have the cocoon, and that something magical is happening. Everything turns into mush. Everything dismantles. So you think there's a plan in order to become a butterfly? No. In order to become a butterfly, first you have to let go of everything, all the structures, everything is gone. Except the DNA of the butterfly actually still exists, already is in the system. We're talking about so-called imaginal cells. And these imaginal cells, they are being fought by the old cells, traditional cells, because they think, oh, they're enemies, we have to kill them. Okay? And what do these imaginal cells do? They build networks. And sooner or later, the old traditional cells of the caterpillar, they give up, they die. And then eventually a butterfly can emerge. This is a struggle. And you cannot skip this step of the metamorphosis. Let's say, have you ever seen a caterpillar with wings? Would be weird. It's like if you say, oh yeah, I want to skip, I want to be an agile company, I want to be a human business. You have to go through this transformation. And it can be very, very painful. And it's not easy. And to struggle. And I love it. Change. Talking about change, and where do we start? It's radical. It's not just technology. It's the way we work together, the way we live together. And Allianz, with the digital transformation, of course, also embraces, is facing all these challenges. Let's have a look at some of them on the left side. Well, we have the customer culture is changing. We used to have, a seller market, that the corporation decides what the customer ought to buy. Same with insurance. Okay, that's changing. Why? Because the customer has all the information at his or her fingertip. That gives the power to the customer. It's becoming a buyer's market. Second, technologies. Well, they create new opportunities, but also challenges. We just heard about pattern libraries. I mean, this is like a, kind of like the top of an iceberg, the tip of an iceberg. There is so much more. Do we know what the technology will be like in 2 years? We have no idea. But then on the other side, there are wonderful opportunities. Third, business and technology are increasingly emerging. Talking about home office, what we have been experiencing the last 15 months and counting. And sector boundaries disappear. Okay, fine. Allianz is an insurance corporation. Will it always be an insurance corporation? I bet not really. I don't think so. So what has Allianz done? Well, it understands that you have to merge technology, you have to merge the business aspects and I call it Mensch, the human aspect, the attractiveness. And this is what's called innovation. And in 2016, it has founded the so-called digital factory. Not really too surprising, because like when you look at some other companies, they founded digital factories. We're talking about applications and at a rapid pace. They wanted to develop compelling products and services. They wanted to establish and play with new collaborative forms of cooperation. And bottom line, of course, Allianz is looking at profitability, no doubt. So, since then, there have been more than 40 digital solutions, more than 500 jobs were created, and 20,000 written user stories and counting. And as you can tell, these photos are somewhat outdated. When you go to the office these days, empty spaces. Everything is done virtually. About 60% of the workforce at Allianz says we don't want to return to the office, which I think is pretty average. So in 2016, Allianz founded the Digital Factory. 2017, the first products went live. Various products, I'm not going to tell you all these products because I don't want to sell insurance. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't know too much about insurance at all. That was not the reason why I joined Allianz. 2018, we had more than 40 products live, and in 2019, that was a milestone because they scaled everything. It's called, they started Agile at Scale. Now, that's not scaling Agile. It's not embracing fake Agile, also called safe. That's not Agile at Scale. Whatever, it looks at what do we need, what does our business need, what do our customers need, what do our employees need, and then they scaled various forms and adapted it accordingly. I was about to click here and this doesn't work. Okay. Change and collaboration. This is not just Allianz. This is just a slide to give you an idea what it's all about. The old company, we had a bureaucracy. Okay, we're talking about a machine, very mechanical, line organizations. The vision of where we want to be is to have a company like an organism, which is flexible, which is adaptive. Is Allianz there yet? No, we're not there yet. But we're making great progress. And from the organizational perspective, the Spotify model has helped Allianz, even though it's not a copy of the Spotify model. So we do have cross-functional teams in various roles. They're relatively small, 8 to 12 people. Sometimes they're a little bigger, but definitely cross-functional. Whenever we can, we do like to have these teams to have end-to-end responsibility when it comes to application development. Doesn't always work. Then we have tribes. We have various teams, they form a tribe. And then beyond that, we have the area. I can already see in the background T-Systems is smiling because it seems that there are some similarities. And I think what you said earlier, I like that, what you said too. And so you have the various areas. We also have guilds, but if you have questions about it, we can talk about it later on. The question is like, where does this all lead? What's our vision? The vision of Agile at scale is that the Agile transformation is helping us to become an adaptable learning company that stands for customer and employee delight and sustainable value creation. Note, it doesn't talk about Agile or that we want to become an Agile company. It would be mean. Doesn't talk about profitability. First, it talks about delighting our customers, then employees, and then the business. And we talk about this order in a minute. The question is, when we talk about digital transformation, is it all about technology? And at Allianz, I'm challenging my colleagues and management, telling them, don't think it's all about technology, because after all, what about us? What about the Mensch, the human being? What role do we play? And I'd like to invite you to answer a very simple question you probably have heard before, and that's the WTF question. Okay, all of you, and the WTF question stands for, what's the future? Okay, now there are two possibilities, at least two possibilities to come up with this question, the WTF question. The first question is, what will the future look like? Okay, I asked this very same question to an older couple 2 years ago at the World Economic Forum in Davos. And I asked them, what do you think of the digital age? What will the future look like? What do you think? And they said, actually, you know what? We're afraid. What will come of us? With all the technology, what happens to nature? What happens to us? We have no idea. Jobs will be destroyed and what have you. And then I asked them, saying, okay, we'll have a somewhat different opinion, but let me ask you a different question. Do you know how you want to live in the future? And they said, well, yes, of course. We're doing this already. We try to live in balance with nature. We talk with our friends, with our family. This is what we value. And okay, our family, they're living all over the world. But the good thing is, our son, he taught us something called Skype. So since then, we can talk with our grandkids. It's cool. And we're still, can still drive around because our car now, we have difficulties with parking. We just click on a button and, everything is done by itself. And they just talked about all these various gadgets they had at home. And I said, well, let me ask you the question again. What do you think about the digital age? And they said, well, that's a different question. Depending how you frame the question, you get different answers. And when we talk about digital transformation, agile transformation at Allianz, the question we are asking is, how do we want to live? How do we want to live? How do we want to work? Because this opens a new horizon, new spaces. So coming back to this image, you may know the quote of John Naisbitt, a futurologist. He said, the most exciting breakthroughs of the 21st century will occur not because of technology, but because of an expanding concept of what it means to be human. Simple, very simple. And yet, we're treating each other as resources, human resources, that is. So the question also for us is like, at Allianz, how are we seeing towards this future, about, let's say, a more human future? And how can we build this bridge? And it is called, what we call value steering. That is like, we focus on creating value first for our customers, then for employees, and then for the business. In that order. When we're talking about value creation for the customer, it's not enough just to say, okay, there's another customer. No, we focus on the human being, the Mensch. And starting with customer delight. These days, it's not enough to satisfy your customer anymore. If you stay at a hotel And it's a good hotel, 3 or 4 or 5-star hotel, and everything is fine. And then maybe you return home and say, how was the hotel? Well, fine. But if you really have an experience, a very customized experience, that they managed to wow you, had a wow experience, what will you do? You will share it with your friends. That hotel was pretty cool. What was it? What made it so special? So in order to delight your customer, you have to know A, who your customer is or who your customers are, and what their needs are. Not what do they want, what are their needs. This is a prerequisite for customer delight. Then talking about the peers and collaboration. Collaboration is like we're working across functional teams. Yes, there's still hierarchies, but actually we're getting rid of those. We will have chapters, similar just like T-systems. And talking about collaboration, Gerald Hüther, he explained there's a very special form of collaboration. It's called co-creation. When people connect, when they unfold their potentials together, then something emerges that is more than cooperation. That's co-creation. And this is what we're after. It does not happen all the time. That's our vision. Next, happy workplace. A couple of years ago, I worked for Magna, an automobile supplier, and said, well, we want to create an atmosphere where where we can be very creative, where we can be very productive, where we have a great time. And somebody said, an engineer, yeah, it's like a happy workplace. Whenever you say happy workplace, it's not just like that you have a party all the time. It's still work. But a happy workplace allows the human aspect to play out. And it's much more. It's not just playing. You want to shape something together. You want to perform together. Performance is not necessarily bad. It's actually a good thing. And you want to do something great. You want to be part of something bigger. It's purpose-driven. And, oh, by the way, we do it with joy. Okay, we are not machines. Okay. Every day when we have like our daily in the morning, we have you have the 3 questions like, what have I accomplished yesterday? What will I do today? Are there any issues, any aspects where I need help? Okay. A couple of years ago, I introduced a 4th question. The 4th question is like, what makes me happy today? And we capture this very question, this happiness question, just like all the other tasks. And after a while, you have like a happiness wall. And you get an idea, what kind of atmosphere can we create? What kind of atmosphere can we shape where we have a happy workplace? It's not always related to work, but it certainly contributes to a happy workplace. By the way, quality is better, productivity is better. And continuous self-improvement. We're not perfect. We're making mistakes. We always strive to become better and better and better. In this case, it's Allianz in the area I'm working with. At least every 6 months, we have so-called tribe health checks. So where we check, okay, what have we done better last time? Where can we still improve? Where do we need to improve? And the teams, yes, we used to have, or there's still some line organizations, but we allow the teams to build networks. So they work with the teams they have to work with. This way, we're trying to reduce the dependencies between the teams. You cannot plan everything ahead of time. But during work, when you find, okay, I need to talk to another team, we allow these teams to talk to each other and work with each other. And we're looking at a holistic and sustainable value creation. We ask, okay, how does our work contribute to the value for the customer, for us, for the business? So if we compare the 2 worlds, the old world and the new world, we have the 20th century business as a machine, linear, mechanical, and the 21st century, which is our image, as an organism. And when you compare the traditional business and say human business, and then we're talking again about the metamorphoses. In the old world, we have, the enterprise. It's the focus of enterprise. It's all about business. Okay. And We're talking the values of survival, relationships, self-esteem, the ego, very important. And here we go. Shareholder value theory. Not compatible with an agile company. It's not value creation. Only for very few. Where's the customer? Bureaucracy. Now, don't get me wrong. This worked quite well for a very long time. But the environment changed. So in the agile world, we realize things are changing and we have to change too. So the focus is now the customer. And we do realize that we're transforming. We want to delight the customer, not just satisfy the customer, and we want to continuously learn, and we want to align strategy and the practice. We want people to become part of something bigger. And then eventually the human business. Now, if you look at Allianz, they will not talk about the human business. This is my personal driver. This is why I came to Allianz, because I want to help Allianz to become a human business within 5 to 6 years. And there are some good signs. There are some areas where they're so far away from human business you cannot even imagine. And then there are other areas where Allianz is really human business. That is like the focus is on the human, on the Mensch. And we want to make a difference, making an impact. And it's about sustainability. It's not just like you balance the short, the mid, and the long term. And does everything go as planned? Again, no, it does not. The things like what I said earlier at a metamorphosis is like it's chaotic. It can be very painful. It can be very frustrating. If you're interested in a digital transformation and you're not resilient to frustration or change, don't go there. Stay at home. But if you are willing to embrace life, expect the unexpected, if you like chaos and creativity, this is your playing field. I certainly did not regret joining Allianz. It's chaotic, sometimes frustrating, and I love it. Thank you.